Recording. So I think everything is on. Let me make sure. Yeah, resume recording. Okay, so we're recording. You like that? I mean, I have other things along that I opened up. You know, if we want to look at symbols, we got that one. Let me make that smaller while we're at it. I could probably put this around maybe a little bigger. Okay.
Yep.
Just so we don't have to worry about that one's not very good. It's kind of blurry. Ganas, but this is kind of nice to start with since I think we were going to discuss about this sort of your unique take on nakshatras, how they relate or how they influence and are influenced by grahas relative to us here in Bhuloka. We had a really nice class with you about a month ago, and everybody was like blown away because nobody has shared this perspective about nakshatras. So that was my sense of what we're going to talk about. Is that
sure? Are you recording? I mean, is it good to go?
Yeah, it's good to go. But you know, you can talk about whatever you want as usual, Sovik. You know, you don't have to stick to a channel or script, or you know, you do your thing. You know, you're a flow guy.
Yeah, I never have a transcript. I can't do that.
And I know you can't repeat how, you know, but I have I practically transcribed your talk when you talked about this. So I went and printed those notes.
That's why I love you so much. That's why I love you so much.
And then I have a lot of questions actually. When I was waiting, I was busily, you know, thinking about things that I still feel unclear about. So if we get, okay, but I'll just let you start and.
So no, I mean, yes, I'll get started, and as we progress, you know, don't hesitate to stop me and ask more questions. That will keep the flow going, and based on the questions, we'll go where you know, where the flow takes us. So no preconceived transcript, right?
Great.
So okay, I mean, see, this is what we discussed, and it's very timely because, you know, I don't know whether you checked Facebook recently. I did an interview with Pamela on Vimshotri Dasha, and I did speak a little bit about nakshatras there too. This is more focused. So yeah, so the concept is actually very basic. The concept is that till date we have always visualized nakshatras from this plane, Earth, right? So we see the nakshatras from Bhuloka, and we see the nakshatras which are placed in Swargaloka, and in between Bhu and Swargaloka is the Bhuvaloka, which is the plane of planets, the grahas. So when we obviously see things from Earth, Bhuloka, then we are seeing the plane of the planets first, and at the backdrop we are seeing the nakshatras, which we call fixed stars or stars, Tara. So that's the concept, but we have never thought about it from a perspective of Swargaloka. So nakshatras are basically stars. Nakshatras, I'll correct myself. Nakshatras are basically celestial spaces
Mhm.
uh, of, for the sake of simplicity, let's assume 13 degree 20 minutes of space, cosmic space on the ecliptic, which holds stars. Some of these stars in that space is so bright that it dominates the whole nakshatra. Some are cluster of stars. And you and I, we met over, I forgot the year, but at the Hindu club at Stanford, and I gave an extensive talk on the myths and legends and the science of nakshatras. That was, I don't remember the year, but
2012.
2012, correct. So that was at Stanford. You had organized it. So if you remember, we did speak about how some of the myths and legends of nakshatras are actually based on verifiable scientific facts,
Uh-huh.
like uh, Kritika, for example, right? Kritika is Pleiades. The story of Kritika is that Kritika's nursed Kartik, Kartikeya, six Kartikeyas, six kids. And the thing is that the constellation of Kritika has six bright stars, six Kritikas, and it is actually a nursery. It is a nursery of stars. Stars are born in Pleiades. So some of these tales are actually based on science,
Mhm.
just that they are encoded, and how brilliant of the ancient seers to encode them, because that's how we still remember it. And today we can backtrack it based on the scientific evidence that's available and say, hey, this is the truth behind it. So that's the beauty. But yeah, so putting it very simply, that's the order. But if we look at it, if we take our perspective to Swargaloka, then the blessings of the nakshatras, who are basically gods, because they're Adityas, flow from Swarga through Bhuva to Bhu. It's constant. It's constantly flowing. It's constantly flowing. So that's what I had mentioned.
Right.
That's the empirical model.
Can I get a little clarity here before we go on? Couple of questions. Number one, the nakshatra is, like you said, a celestial space, and some of those celestial spaces don't have important stars in it, like Kritika does. Like say Pusha, which is the deity of Brihaspati. You can't really pinpoint a particular star that makes Pusha or Brihaspati, can you?
That's true. Not all of these spaces have one bright star coming out of it. But Pusha, for example, has a cluster of stars together in that space. They aren't that bright, but they're there.
Okay.
They're so it's basically what you're trying to hear. And here's the difficulty to understand this in terms of modern science, because you have to remember that nakshatras is a space, but that space just extends to infinity. So, for example, let me give you an example. Mula. Mula. In Mula, as viewed today, lies the black hole in the center of the universe, what we call the Brahmanadi. The Brahmanadi is, as of today, is in Mula. So, but Mula is a space, and Mula can have stars too. But if we extend Mula, then the Brahmanadi, or the center of the Milky Way, the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, can be seen through that space in Mola,
Mhm.
right? Because you're just taking that space and extending it to the infinite. There are going to be stars, so the distance doesn't really matter here. It's just space. Anything that comes in there as viewed from Earth will be a star that is viewed there.
Uh-huh. So it's so whatever unique feature is in that celestial space will give meaning, and the stories will evolve out of like say the destruction aspect of Mula. The churning
Right, right,
comes from it being the Brahmanadi.
correct.
So it's also must be a very creative space, being Brahmanadi, creative as well as destructive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is a theory, hypothetical though, that every black hole is followed by a white hole, and it's basically called a wormhole, where you basically have a black hole on one side absorbing everything out, and you have a white hole on the other side emitting everything, basically taking black hole taking everything into infinite, and white hole creating everything, spitting out universes from there.
Uh-huh.
So it's theory, it's theoretical physics, but not really, wasn't really a lot of theory for us. We always knew it, that that's the balance. We have Shiva as the person who is constantly reorganizing or destroying, so that Brahma can constantly create, and maintaining that balance is Vishnu. So it's not really a very alien concept to the Vedic thought.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, another thing that occurred to me is 12 of the nakshatras will be connected to Adityas,
Right,
like sun gods. But all of the nakshatras, as what I understood from your talk before, was they're all stars, they're all suns, whether they're
correct.
Adityas or not. Even Mula, the Niriti, the destructive, the black hole, is emitting something like a sun, correct?
Correct. They're all gods. They're all gods. The definition of a devat, let me put the right phrase here. The
Okay.
definition of a devata, the English translation of a devata loosely is God with a small g.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but devata is actually the technically correct word. The definition, who is a devata? Devata is someone who gives. Dve, someone who gives, is anyone who gives is a devata, and this giving is selfless. Now, for example, Mula's deity is Niritri. So Niritri, here's the problem. That's the problem, and we can talk about this actually, Sueann.
Mhm.
The problem is that Vedic the Vedic definitions of deities has undergone transformation in the Hindu mythology and the Puranic era, and has been transformed to forms right now in the Hindu religion that we know exist, but we can't connect it to the Vedic forms. You understand what the problem is? Where do you, in the Hindu calendar, I'm sure you have a lot of Hindu friends, have you ever gone to anyone, have you ever heard about the Nritri Puja or a Nritri festival?
No, never.
Right? Have you ever heard of a puja celebrated in the Hindu community? Or no, come, we are going to celebrate Vishwadeva's puja. This is a Vishwadeva Devas. Or have you ever seen a puja happening on Bhaga? Hey, today we are organizing a Bhaga puja. Come for the Bhaga day. We have not seen that. So, and that is the biggest problem of nakshatras relating to the Hindu Puranic times,
Mm.
because the Hindu religion was completely rewritten from the Vedic religion during the Gupta era. The Gupta kings rewrote the Sanatan Dharma,
Mm.
completely rewrote. There was no Trinity. Trinity happened during the Gupta era. Vishnu was the name of Vamana. Vishnu was just the youngest Aditya, the youngest brother of Indra. He was exalted to the preserver during the Gupta era. So this whole transformation in the academic world of understanding the Vedic terms in terms of the Puranic deities who were reshaped is missing. Nirithri is nothing but Kali. Now, if I tell you the word Kali, now it will make a lot of sense.
So the Vedic is Kali, and then the Puranic Gupta time, it became Nritti. Is that what you're saying?
No, the reverse.
Oh,
the
okay.
Vedic time was Nirithri.
I gotcha.
The Puranic time reshaped it as Kali.
Okay, so the Vedic time would be where these, we'd have to go to the Vedas, the Rig Veda and the Atharva Veda.
Right. The Vedic deities lost its importance.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow.
And were transformed into other forms, which, if it happened in Hinduism, I'm calling it Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma for a lack of a better word, but it happens in every religion. Christianity, for example, had huge transformation of the Council of Nicaea.
Right.
Every religion goes through transformation. Islam, every religion, when the Buddhism, when it went and suddenly mixed up with the Tantra practice of China, it completely transformed itself. So every religion goes through that. So same with the Sanatan Dharma. Basic concepts were the same, but the deities underwent a transformation. So Nirithri of the Vedic times became Kali of the Puranic times. Now, if I tell you Kali, goddess of destruction, yes. What does she give? She releases us of bondage. That's exactly what Nirithri does. In fact, if you look at this is just not used in Nakshatras though. Let me tell you that. If you look at divisional charts, right? I was actually talking to a very young scholar of Jyotish, and I was encouraging him to work with the deities of divisional charts. But the problem is there is not much literature in that. Deities. So let's say the D10 chart. Who are the deities of the D10 chart?
Indra and
Right.
and yeah, these same Vedic, right? Vedic.
Absolutely. The Vedic deities are the deities, but they wouldn't make sense now because we have lost the interpretation of those Vedic deities because the religion as it is right now is Puranic. So we have to make that translation. So if I replace Nirithri with Kali, then you would understand, oh, okay. So Kali as a direction of work, what does it mean? Someone who can get to the root of something and just clean it up. So, that's the concept. That's the concept. So that was, so Nirithri, let's say Kali. Is Kali an Aditya? No, Kali is not an Aditya.
No.
But is Kali a goddess? Yes, Kali is a goddess. What does she give then if she doesn't give light? Well, she releases us of bondage. So now Mula has a completely different meaning now. The moment you now see a person with moon in Mula, instead of Nirithri, the image of, if you replace it with an image of Kali, it will make much more sense.
So Devata, I always thought Devata meant giver of light, but really it's not just a giver of light. That's some of the Devatas give light, but some of the Devatas, like you're saying about Kali, give release, which is not light, but it's maybe leads to more light.
So giver of something.
Giver of something.
Giver of wisdom. So how the light annotation comes up, right? Giver of knowledge or wisdom is associated with light. Because light eradicates darkness. Darkness was associated with ignorance. Light was associated with knowledge. And therefore, the giver of knowledge became the giver of light. Not necessarily that has to be taken literally.
I see. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, so given now that we understand the Devatas are giving something, you could say they're just emitting an energy, right? And the nakshatras that have no graha, as I understood from what you've taught me, they give purely and cleanly without any obstruction. There's nothing in the way. They're just freely, like the knowledge is coming straight in, or
Yes.
light, whatever. And when a graha is there, it's like a barrier. Something comes through, I understand, so the graha will actually change what the devata is emitting. It'll change it according to its own nature. Some stuff will come through kind of maybe a little distorted according to the nature of the graha, but not the full blast of the knowledge and light and gift of the nakshatra will come through.
Absolutely. So let's take a relevant example. Today is March 2nd, correct?
Right, yeah.
Right. So Saturn moved from Mula into Purvashar today.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Purvashar, who is the deity of Purvashar?
The Appas, the water goddess.
Upper goddess.
Yeah.
Appas.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever attended an Appas puja, or where is Appas celebrated today? In the Hindu friends you have around the world, or even those who are Vedic Pandits, when is Appas celebration happening? Do you know?
No, I have no idea.
No idea. Me neither. So where is Appas? Where do I see Appas today, right now? In 2018 or 2019, when will I really understand where Appas is in the fabric of the current Hindu Sanatan Dharma life? So that is missing, right? So what is it? The answer is Saraswati. Appas
Yeah.
is Saraswati.
Hmm.
So Saraswati, the moment I tell you that Appas is Saraswati, now everything starts making sense.
Mm-hmm.
Appas is about purity, Saraswati is about purity. Appas is about water and flow, Saraswati is about water and flow. Appas transformed into Saraswati. So Saraswati, the blessings of Saraswati was flowing constantly into humanity until today. Saturn moved and blocked that blessings, and now it is going to flow through Saturn.
Huh. So would you say that the cosmic waters of Appas will be sort of slowed down or obstructed in some ways, or there'll be more effort to feel the flow of the purity of Saraswati?
Right. So now, so to understand this interpretation, we first have to understand what's the relation between nakshatra and graha. So the graha, just give me 1 second. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay, so Saturn, the graha, the blessings were coming uninterrupted, and now Saturn is in the way. So the nakshatra, which is a goddess, Saraswati, is blessing humanity. Saturn has now come in the way. What does Saturn stand for? Saturn stands for so many things. Everything that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn stands for slowness. Saturn stands for hard work. Saturn stands for poverty. Saturn stands for discipline. Saturn stands for longevity. Saturn stands for hard work. Saturn stands for karma. So many. Why do you think when the seers wrote the books, why couldn't they just give one department to a graha? Why did they give so much of a huge set of attributes to a graha. You look at the third chapter of Parashara, Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, right? Graha descriptions. So many things are given. Is it just one thing? Does it
No.
just say that Surya is the king and does a full stop over there? It doesn't, right? It
Right.
says so many things. Surya is Atma, Surya is the ruler, Surya is the father, Surya is also the giver of Putra, Santan, children. Surya is creativity, Surya is wealth, Surya is relationship with government, Surya is why? What is in what why do we need so much information? Why can't we just make it simple? Because the choice is ours. The choice is depending on the free will and the karmic implications of every being on this planet as to which energy of what, which choice of that graha, which energy choice of that graha we choose to make the nakshatra blessings flow through. Right? So you can say there is no definite predictions. You can say that people, Saraswati is purity, so you can say the people will be very, very frustrated with division. People will not want to maintain this don't touch me attitude,
Mm.
yours and mine. That is going to be a big factor because Saraswati is about purity. Saturn is masses. So masses will be focused on purity. It can shape up in two ways. People can own it or people can refute it. Right? You will see a lot of that for the next 1 year.
So when Saturn was in Mula for the last 4 or 5 months, 6 months, we
Right.
got this churning and division and more discord, right? Things being released and maybe not understood and churned up and some destruction. And now with Saturn going into Purva Shada, there'll be more, let's do something about it. This is not comfortable. We don't like this. We want to get back into something more harmonious. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Saturn will actually focus on the problem by creating discomfort with what's happening.
Um, give me a minute, Sueann. Can we pause this for a minute? I just have to answer a question someone is asking me.
Recording. Okay. So we were talking about
So could you repeat the
Saturn.
last part? I was your question after my explanation. I got a little distracted, so I didn't
Okay,
really
no
listen.
problem. We were talking about Saturn having moved from Mula
Correct.
to Purva Ashada today. And it seemed like, and you were talking about people will feel dissatisfied now in Purva Ashada because it's about purity. Saraswati, that's the energy of Purva Ashada. But Saturn there will make people, it seems like, feel dissatisfied and want to do something maybe about the discord that maybe was sown in Mula, with Saturn and Mula churned up.
So Saturn in Mula was for 1 year. Mula is about letting go.
Oh,
Correct. Mula is about release.
okay.
Right. Saturn is about uh, basically what you can say is in the same interpretation. It's about masses. So masses will let go of a lot of things that they were holding behind.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So for 1 year means when did Saturn move into Mula? Do you know the date?
Well, it went in and then it went back into Scorpio and then it went back in around, I believe it was end of October. I think it was the
In
end of either,
October last year.
yeah,
Anything
end of
major
October.
happened? Anything major happened from then?
Um, Gosh. Oh, let me think. End of October. What major happened? And all I can think of is a school shooting in the last, when was that? On Valentine's Day. So we had that, and it was in the fourth pada, which is apparently the worst pada for Saturn to be in, our worst pada of Mula.
Worst pada of actually Mula is actually the first pada
Right,
because it's the
Gandanta, right?
Gandanta pada, right? So Jeshta fourth pada and Mula first pada is the time when the water fire boundary is crossed, and that
Maybe
too by
we were
Saturn.
having a lot of stuff with North Korea around that time.
Correct. So Jeshta Mula, Jeshta Shani, Saturn in Jeshta, which is basically Indra, will always challenge authority. Correct. Mula is, that means Mula is letting go. A lot of decisions will be taken, which will be a release for a lot of things that people were holding on to.
Hmm.
Okay. And Purvashad is the division of what is pure and what is impure will be challenged. What is right, what is wrong will be challenged. My way and your way will be challenged.
That seems like something that's been going on for a while.
Well, Saturn is that challenge. Wherever Saturn will go first, leadership will be challenged. Then
Ninth,
whatever you think you owned will be challenged. It will go. And now the ways of life, what you think is pure and what you think is impure will be challenged. Saturn always challenges.
so here's something. Saturn is, there's like layers. Saturn is in a Rashi and it's in a Nakshatra, and it's got its own nature.
Correct.
So it would, the Rashi would also be bringing out. It might be something about proper dharma, adharma, and dharma because of the Rashi. Correct? Would Saturn
The
make?
Rashi is a very good question. How does the Rashi fit in? Rashi is the body.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Okay. Rashi is always the body. So the body Saturn has taken up is Dhanu. Dhanu is the natural, Sagittarius is the natural ninth house. So the direction of Saturn is basically dharma. And so brilliantly, look at the three nakshatras present in Sagittarius. How brilliant it is. First nakshatra of dharma is letting go. Second nakshatra of dharma is purity. Right? And what is the third nakshatra of dharma? What is the third nakshatra in Sagittarius?
It's about victory.
Correct. And who is which?
That's the Vishwadhar, Vishwa, the 10 gods, the dharmic gods of Vishwakarmas.
Is it?
Yeah, those
You have
10.
Mula,
It's those 10
Purvashad,
gods.
and Uttarashad, right?
Uttarshada, yeah, right.
Right. And Uttarashad deity is who?
The Vishwa, they're called
Vishwa Devatas.
Vishwa Devatas. I mean, they're
Vishwa
sometimes
Deva.
called Vishwakarmas, or am I confusing that?
No, Vishwakarmas or Vishwakarma is different. Vishwa Devata is a completely different thing. So who is Vishwa Devata? Have you attended a
Vishwa
Vishwa
Devatas are
Devata
those
puja?
10 cosmic laws.
Is it?
Yeah.
What are the 10 cosmic laws?
Oh gosh, let's see. There were 10, oh boy, like justice and righteousness, and they're like principles of Dharma. They're like
Really?
10, at least that's what I remember.
Oh, okay. I mean, I
Uttarashada. Let me see here for a second. Okay. So hang on a second. The Okay. Oh gosh, that's not the right thing. Okay, I'm just looking at the symbol here. The power to give permanent victory. They're like, the ultimate victory about, after the purification. It's not about you. It's about something larger than you. It's not a personal victory. It's a victory for humanity kind of thing. It's kind of more that collective level of selflessness. I don't have anything.
So
Symbol.
these are very
Elephant tusk. It's Ganesha's right tusk.
yes.
Uh-huh.
So Vishwa Devata's universe, literal translation is universal gods, but I am 100% sure that you have not ever been invited to any Hindu household with all your friends on a Vishwa Devata puja. Neither would you have seen in any temple Vishwa Devata puja hosted. So where is Vishwa Devas today? Vishwa Devas today means Ganesha. Vishwa Devata, the one god or gods who in multitude are always worshipped. Vishwa Devatas, universally present and worshipped. That is Ganesha today. So Vishwa Devata, Uttarashadha, replace it with Ganesha. So you have, look at the three deities. Look at the three deities of Dharma by placement of Nakshatras. First you have Kali, then you have Saraswati, then you have Ganesha. And Ganesha also goes into the natural 10th house and gives you the first sign of beginning karma. Dharma to karma gap is crossed by Ganesha. Right? So Uttarashadha is about universality, universal appeal. Purvashadha is about purity. That means and Mula is about letting go. So look at the natural progression of dharma. Natural progression of dharma is first I have to let go of my attachments. How will I find God? This is a basic question that every religion tries to answer. The answer, you don't have to study religion, just study Jyotish. The first answer is letting go in Mula. Who will let you, who can I go to help me let go? Any form like Niritri or Kali, who cuts your bondages to let you go. First step is you have to let go of your own ego or if your own attachments to walk the path. Second step is, then what I need to do? Then you do cleansing. Cleanse yourself with the waters of Saraswati. Learn, grow, evolve. Third, what do I do? Third, you realize that all that you did is absolutely useless because God is in everyone. Vishwa Devatas, God is in everyone. Understanding that God, so you know Ganesha is worshipped both. How many traditions are there in Hinduism? How many sects? There is Shaivism, there is Vaishnavism, there is Shakta, right? There is Shakta traditions. Then there are Tantra traditions, there are Vedic traditions, there are Adityas, so many traditions. But every tradition cannot begin their puja without worshipping Ganesha. Doesn't matter which tradition it is. So the unifying concept is one God. That is Vishwa Devatas. So that is Dharma. So when you are saying that how does the body matter, how Saturn is in Sagittarius, how does it matter? It is pushing humanity towards questioning its path.
Its path.
Yes, path. That is God. That is religion. What is Dharma? What is religion? Path.
Right.
Saturn in Sagittarius is questioning, challenging the path. For 2.5 years, it will challenge humanity's path. I'm talking in terms of mundane astrology, right? Of course, individually the chart will differ, but in mundane astrology, for everyone, for the whole of humanity, that's going to be the coating. That's going to be the body Saturn has taken.
So would you say we could do this process that you just did with Danush, with every Rashi, see the three nakshatras within it and kind of extrapolate. It's kind of like you're going from Swargaloka and then seeing how it plays out in Bhuvaloka, which is the Rashi.
Absolutely.
That's
Do
a
you
very
know, I'm sure you do, but just for your audience, that the Rashis got its primary, uh, most basic characteristic from one of the stars that it holds, especially the fixed signs. The fixed signs, there are four fixed signs:
right.
Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Taurus is food,
Mm-hmm.
Leo is throne, Scorpio is the ruler, and Sagittarius is medicine. Healing comes from Sagittarius, food comes from Taurus, throne and king come from Leo, and the ruler himself, his policies comes from Scorpio. They are defined by four fixed stars. The fixed stars are Rohini in Taurus, the food basket of the world; Magha in Leo, the throne of the ancestors. Who gives the throne? Ancestors have given the throne to us.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jeshta, the eldest, is in Scorpio, and Shatabhishak, the giver of medicine, healing, in Kumbha. These four stars were called the four fixed pillars in Persian astrology. Persian astrologers believed that the heaven were held by four pillars, and these four pillars were four stars: Aldebaran, Rohini; Regulus, Magha; Antares, Jeshta; and form a halt, Shatabhishak. So all the process that I did to define the ingredients of Dhanu, you can do this for all the Rashis. Absolutely, you can.
Hmm. Okay. Um, can we talk a little bit about how the graha, what the effect of a graha in a nakshatra, how it alters the devata's gift?
Sure.
Okay.
So
I just had a question when I was reading over my notes. You used the word eclipse before,
yes,
and so it's a little bit of the feeling of combustion. You know, when a planet is too close to the sun, even though we're not talking about proximity since the stars are so far away, but when a planet is close to the sun, it's completely obscured, right? And its significations get sort of lost, don't they? If a planet is too, within the radiance of the sun.
that's true.
Okay, so my understanding of a combustion is the outer significations get blocked, get lost, but that doesn't mean that the inner significations, say for Venus, for example, maybe a relationship won't happen as easily because it's combust, but the person's Venusian energy is very enlivened. That's sort of my understanding of combustion, because it's with the soul, the sun. And then I was wondering if nakshatras are kind of like that if you say, like, have the moon in a nakshatra, it's blocking, but it's also enlivened, this nakshatra, because it's a luminary, or say the sun in a nakshatra, the soul. So there's something very important about that nakshatra for the person's evolution, their soul growth, because it's in that nakshatra, but at the same time, it completely, the sun, like you said, it burns it or it blinds that nakshatra.
So I will answer this question, but before that, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen Rahu? Like the way we see grahas. You can pick up a telescope and you can see Mars.
You can't
You can
see
pick up
Rahu.
you
Yeah.
can you ever see Rahu?
I was going to ask about this too, since Rahu and Ketu don't have any, they don't have any, they're not material. How could they block a nakshatra? How could they obscurate it?
So that's let me ask you this. Have you ever seen, has the world ever seen Rahu?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, when there's an eclipse of the sun or the moon.
And when there is an eclipse, what do you really see?
You see a shadow.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is the shadow, if you go to uh, NASA's website or this website called timeanddate.com or dateandtime.com, I forgot what the name is. And if you basically look at the path of an eclipse,
Uh-huh.
especially the great American eclipse, which happened on August 21st last year, if you see the path, and you see the path, when you see the path, you see the path of the shadow. You actually see the shadow moving across, don't you? Do you
Yes.
see the shadow moving across the planet from out of the earth view? You actually see the path of the shadow, correct?
Right. You do.
That shadow is Rahu.
Mm-hmm.
That shadow is Rahu. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring it up because negation of something is also something. Luminaries we can see, sun and moon we can see. Sun we can see with the help of special devices. Also we can see sun during sunrise and sunset with naked eyes. Moon we can see in the night, especially near about full moon and plus minus 5-6 days of full moon, we can see the moon very pretty clearly.
Right. Yeah.
But when they are not present when they were supposed to be present, that is absence of luminaries during the eclipse is also seen as a shadow. That shadow, we say graha, what do you call the chaya graha.
Uh-huh.
Chaya is also something, it's reality. Shadow is a reality. You cannot touch it, but it doesn't mean that it isn't present. Shadow is a reality. So Rahu is chaya graha. It's a shadow, but it's real. We have seen it. And you are absolutely correct when you said we see it during an eclipse. This understanding is very clear. This understanding has to be even more clearer if you want to understand the graha in a nakshatra. The graha in a nakshatra means that the nakshatra is not unobstructed, it is obstructed. And the graha is obstructing the blessings of nakshatra. So what is happening is the blessings of the nakshatra. I am saying blessings because all nakshatras are divine. They are deities. So the blessings of the nakshatras which are supposed to flow uninterrupted are interrupted by a graha. So the graha is also of Bhuvaloka. Graha is not in Swargaloka. Graha is in Bhuvaloka. Let us say that if we were on that Graha, let us say that Mars is in randomly. Let's pick a nakshatra. Mars is in where is Mars right now? Jeshta. Where is Mars?
Oh God, did it move into Mula yet? Let me see. It's oops. It's in Jeshta.
Correct. So Mars is in Jeshta right now. So let us talk about right now. Mars is in Jeshta. What does it mean? That the blessings from Indra are obstructed by Mars. That means Mars is obstructing the blessings from Indra in Jeshta. So where are the blessings falling? The blessings are falling on Mars.
Okay.
Mars is getting blessed. If Mars is getting blessed, then Mars, the way it is going to impact us, is going to be colored with the blessings of Jeshta. So Mars in Jeshta is not an ordinary Mars. It is a Jeshta Mangal, which means that Indra has blessed that Mars.
So that Mars will be more warlike than if it was a Mars in Swati or Mars in Hasta.
Not only warlike, leader-like.
What kind of like?
Leader-like.
Oh, leader-like, yes.
Indra is the king. Whoever Indra blesses wins the throne.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right? Remember, we had a one-to-one discussion, one-to-one. I think it was just you and me, or maybe it was in our class in a secluded setting when we spoke about US elections. And I told you something about Mars in Abhijit. Do you remember that? That anything that is there in Abhijit
Will win.
is destined to win because it has divine blessings.
Right, I do remember that. We were doing the Sarva
Sarvato Bhadra Chakra.
Sarva Dobhadra, yeah, the Bhadra Chakra. I think that's what we're doing that.
Correct.
Um,
So similarly, when Mars is in Jeshta, Indra will bless the Mars. So now the Mars is touched by Indra. Right? So the Graha is blessed. Instead of looking at it as an eclipse, eclipse is more like a eclipse is also an understanding, but eclipse just gives you the physical fact, not the qualitative interpretation of what's really happening with that Graha.
now, what if it were Venus? How does Indra bless Venus?
You tell me. If Indra, what is related to Venus karma or related to Venus issues, how is Indra? How is Indra with women?
A womanizer.
Right? So women will be exploited.
Oh.
Or women will exploit, either way.
Uh-huh. Or you could maybe want to be in a relationship with somebody who's Indra-like?
Yes, or Indra will be in a relationship with lot of women who would want to be with Indra.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So if it were Mercury, then the person would have the resources of Indra or skills like Indra, because Indra also was very skillful with medicine, and everybody thinks he's just a warrior, but he also, I hear, was very masterful in Ayurveda. So would it bring out that? Would Mercury bring out that?
Indra, one of the qualities. So Mercury, whenever you talk of Mercury, you're talking about learning and growth. Correct? Indra is actually a very bad learner. Terrible learner. He never learned from his mistakes. Which is why his throne is always insecure. Right? Have you seen CEOs or people who hold important chairs or head of states? There is always a fear that it will topple. They're bad learners.
So the Mercury would even increase that insecurity because Mercury's kind of innately insecure.
Yes.
So a Mercury and Indra or Jeshta would be always worrying about his position.
Correct.
Status.
And not really growing and learning, but rather trying to hold on to what is there, trying to be street smart with what he or she has instead of grasping more.
I see. Very interesting. So, if the moon were there, one thing that people say about the moon is wherever it goes, it wants to grow, whatever the nakshatra is all about. Do you agree with that?
Moon is the father of biological father of Mercury. That's why the tail was spawned. They share characteristics, but the only difference is moon is all about emotion, mind, right? So it basically goes there, grasps that blessings, and just emits that in a psychological fashion.
I see. It's kind of like they say, whatever you think about expands it. I mean, if you think about, intention, you think about it all the time, it'll expand.
Right.
If you have a negative thought and you think about it all the time, it will expand. So that's sort of what the moon naturally will do. And
Correct.
it seems like in Scorpio, also with the Rashi influence, it will expand fear, expand negative energy, negative thoughts, or negative emotions.
In terms of
Scorpio,
in where?
when moon is in Indra, in Jeshta, it's also in Scorpio, which is a difficult place for the mind to be in because of its the energy of Scorpio is not pleasant energy for the mind. So the moon would expand thoughts that, and then Indra would influence this insecurity, the kind of wanting to get ahead, always scheming or womanizing, things like that. I'm just trying to
Scorpio is given the debility sign of, if you ask me, my personal opinion, Scorpio is given the debility sign for moon more than Jeshta, but because of Vishakha.
Okay. So yeah, you're right. It's 3 degrees, isn't it?
Vishakha is the primary reason why Scorpio is given, ascribed as the debility sign of Chandra. Because Vishakha has a huge problem. Huge problem. Vishakha has 2 gods, Indragni. So the mind is in constant conflict.
That's the churning of the discomfort. The mind wants peacefulness and comfort, and it won't find it there.
The discomfort comes from Vishakha is the most difficult, at the same time the most spiritual nakshatra.
Oh. Well, more spiritual than say Shravana or Uttar Bhadrapada, one of those.
In a different way. So what is another name of Vishakha? Do you know who was Vishakha, by the way? This name Vishakha, first of all, the deity is definitely Indragni, but this conflict is basically in current Hindu tradition, you can say that Vishakha is Radha. Radha Krishna, have you heard about Radha Krishna?
Yes. So that's more the original deity energy, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, original deity energy is Indragni.
Okay.
It is Indragni. If you have to, it's a difficult concept to understand. Indragni, why is Indra and Agni sharing, whereas Indra has Jeshta? What does Indragni mean?
A conflict or a branching, like a fork in the road. It can go this way or that way. It can go toward
branch. Why branch? Why do I need to branch? What is that? So branching this way or that way, yes, but what are the two paths? What are the two
I
paths?
would say power for Indra, and Agni is like a passionate hunger, passion or power, position.
Okay. Passion, very good. Passion or power. This two branches is about Vishakha. Perfectly correct. How do you explain this with a moon in Vishakha? What is going to be the problem? What is going to be the psychological issue with a person with moon in Vishakha?
A lot of frustration, maybe,
Why? Why?
because they have a huge appetite, a huge ambition um, that can't be fulfilled in the material world.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they seek and they try and they put a tremendous amount of effort into attaining some ideal, and then they keep ramming into a wall and they have to let go. And that's when the spirituality may become apparent to them.
Perfect answer. That is absolutely the correct answer.
Mm.
And the way in modern Hindu religion, or in the modern Sanatan Dharma as it has evolved, this story is the story of Radha. Why is it a story of Radha? Where does Indra come in? Indra means owning. Radha is going to own Krishna, or Radha is going to pine for Krishna,
Uh-huh.
right? Because Radha cannot own Krishna, but Radha wants to own Krishna. But if Radha owns Krishna, then the passion is going to die away. But if Radha pines for Krishna, the passion is very high, but she doesn't own Krishna. This conflict gives rise to extreme bhakti in a positive way. The bhakti as in bhakti, you understand bhakti, right? Devotion. The devotion that Vishakha can give, no other nakshatra in the whole ecliptic can give that bhakti.
Wow.
Vishakha is the nakshatra for bhakti.
Oh, wow. So there must be something special about this location in the celestial zones. It's located, it looks like, right, if I think of Kritika being the first nakshatra, isn't it exactly the opposite?
Correct.
So there must be something really special about that place to bring this intense longing bhakti energy.
Yes, I'm sure. Because Kritika is the beginning of the birth, and Vishakha is about letting it go. Vishakha is the struggle between owning it and pining for it.
So it's a very transformative spot.
Any graha that goes in Vishakha transforms.
Uh-huh.
Any graha. Any graha. If Lagna Lord is in Vishakha, person will transform. Fourth Lord is in Vishakha, mother will transform. Ninth Lord is in Vishakha, father will transform. Any graha in Vishakha will transform. That is inevitable in a chart.
And sounds like it has to be after a lot of sorrow and loss and pain.
That will depend on the person,
Okay.
because not everyone in the spiritual domain, sorrow is a matter of joy,
Hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So sorrow is a matter of letting go. Sorrow doesn't make any sense, because what are you letting go? So of course there are these philosophies of bhakta tradition, and the bhavas, the 6 bhavas that, in which you can worship God or Krishna. But the seat, and in fact it's very beautiful that one of the sakhis of, I just came back from Vrindavan, so one of the sakhis of uh, Radha, and one of the gopis was Vishakha, and Vishakha was this thing that she wanted always to get Krishna, but she never could. So there's this and this pining gave reason, gave more passion. But Radha you can imagine, you can think of Vishaka as Radha. Just if it makes sense, or
Yeah.
otherwise if it makes sense to
Yeah.
understand
You know,
Radha.
so also Saturn is at its exaltation point at in the first pada of Vishaka, I believe.
Absolutely.
So
The
that,
god of transformation has to be exalted here. Who else can get exalted here? The god of transformation, the graha of transformation, Shani. What did I tell you about all this journey of Shani? The word that I constantly kept using was transformation, right? Challenge, revolution. Always, Saturn always challenges the status quo. So the god of transformation, god of karma, has to get exalted in Vishaka. Vishaka is the most spiritual in the Bhakta tradition, of course. In the best example is this very um, I cannot express it. It's like the joy in pining for a loved one who you know you cannot get, but that only makes the passion even more. That's Vishaka. It's a very complicated nakshatra. It's not very direct.
so
It's
so so let me see if I can understand. So Vishaka with no grahas in it will just be raining its or emitting, radiating its pure um, Indra Agni energy
wherever Vishaka is in the
with no
chart.
graha there. But let's say we have exalted Saturn at its 20 degrees exaltation point, and that energy coming from Vishaka has to meet Saturn and be filtered by Saturn.
Yes, and because we have gone through a lot of clarity, I will use the word instead of filtered anymore. I will start using the word bless.
Okay,
So
so Saturn's being
Indragni,
blessed.
Indragni, and instead of the word Indragni, which really doesn't make sense to most people today who are, who are exposed to the Sanatan Dharma or Hindu religion, I will use the word Radha. So Radha, Saturn being blessed by Radha is now think about it. Saturn, who is the basically the doer of change, revolution, transformation, discipline, sorrow, is being blessed by Radha. So that means that Saturn is going to give Radha like effect in terms of all the actions that Saturn has to, whatever Saturn stands for in the chart. If that Saturn is the Atmakaraka, it will mean something else. Saturn is Lagna Lord, it will mean something else. Saturn is dispositor of moon, it will mean something else. Saturn is the fourth Lord, Saturn, it will mean something else. Ninth Lord, seventh Lord, third Lord, etc. etc. So you will do the analysis in the chart, but the Saturn is blessed by Radha.
So it's a way that our karmas are experienced.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that's not just because Saturn's a lord of karma, but all the planets are lords of karma in a certain way. So
Yes.
this is how we understand our karma.
Yes. That's how this should be used.
Uh-huh. Wow. This is so interesting. I could go, I would love it if we could go through. I mean, this whole idea of the different levels of the deity, you have the Vedic, sort of the archaic Vedic, but kind of the new interpretation, the new it's like the New Testament of deities.
Yeah.
Seeing,
Yep.
not just like I can relate to Indragni because of that split, and I know Indra and Agni, and I can relate to that. But bringing in the Radha, and also seeing these as a blessing, not as, like sometimes I think that, oh, if it's a malefic planet in a nakshatra, it's going to give you sort of the negatives of that nakshatra. That's kind of how I was thinking of it. If it's a benefic, it's going to give the positives of the nakshatra, and it's all blessings, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yep, it is.
Um, and it's a blessing to get Vishika, even though you may have to experience sorrow and pain in the heart. It's actually evolving you and transforming you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to be respectful of your time, Sovik. It's now 2:15, 2:16.
Yeah, so like, we can continue some other day, but
I'd
no,
love to continue with this. I have so many questions, but I don't want to go too off into different directions.
no, not a problem at all, and we can definitely connect at a later time. But thanks for doing this, Sueann.
Yeah, this was Amit's idea, and I'm really happy he volunteered me. And
True.
my thought was to post it on my my Vedic astrology page,
Sure.
where people can have access to it, and we can post it. I'll post it on your on AIC and
Absolutely.
everywhere.
Not a problem.
Yeah,
Anywhere you want to do it.
I don't have any channel like Pamela does, but you have a channel, don't you?
I don't. I'm so bad at these things. I really don't.
Not that great either. I just have a Facebook page, and I didn't expect so many people to want to join. They're mostly Indians. I think they'd love to hear what you have to say about this. A lot of Nakshatra friends too, because I'm so into Nakshatras.
Right. No. It's a great thing, Sueann, and I absolutely we can continue these chit chats, discussions, very informal. Like we're not following an agenda or a
No.
script. We're
Yeah.
just talking about it as it comes.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing, and yeah, any time we can fix a time, and any other questions that
Okay.
you probably get. I don't know wherever you post this. If you get more questions, yes, we can definitely have a follow up and continue the discussion.
Okay. So I'll post it on AIC, and then you can
Sure.
post it wherever from there, and then I can post it on my page. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Anywhere you like.
yeah.
Anywhere.
Okay. Great. Okay,
Okay.
and I'd love to continue. We'll just let me digest here, and we'll keep in touch. And I'm
Absolutely.
looking
Yes.
forward to getting back into classes.
Sure. Okay. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you so much, Sovik.
Thanks. Bye.
Can't see me, but I'm bowing my head.
Yep. Absolutely. Me too. Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.